Aloha everybody, Kaiwaza with you. Welcome back to my channel and to another Hawaiian record collection video. Part of my Hawaiian record collection, part you see behind me. A while back, I did a haul video of about a dozen records I got from one particular artist called Yngve Stoor, who was a Swedish artist who performed and recorded his own version of Hawaiian music in Sweden in the 1900s. But it was just a haul video. I didn't do any needle drops or whatever, and so I thought later on, because there was some interest in that video, I should come back and do just a short video on about a little more information, not a lot of information. I don't have a lot of information about Yngve Stoor, but just a little bit more information about him, and to show all of the Yngve Stoor records that I have. And while I'm flipping through them for you, just doing some needle drops so you can hear some of what his music sounds like. So, he was a Swedish musical artist, born in 1912, passed away in 1985 at the age of 73, and had quite a career doing his version of Hawaiian music. He was a musical person. He played violin, mandolin, he had a band. And somewhere along the way, he became very fascinated with Hawaiian music. I think, there were certain times in history where Hawaiian music has been popular in other countries, in Europe and Asia, etc. And apparently it was a period where there was Hawaiian music being played on the radio stations in Sweden that he heard and really fell in love with. And he learned how to play the Hawaiian steel guitar. And continued playing that steel guitar, and he had his dance band, his performing orchestra that played at dances and whatnot around Sweden. And I don't know if he played outside of Sweden that much, I don't know. By the way, not a lot of information if you're trying to look online for information about Yngve Stoor. Not much out there. Most of what I'm telling you I have gleaned from the 24 record albums I have of Yngve Stoor's, which are all in Swedish. So thank you, Google Translate, for being able to glean what information I can from those. Anyway, so he continued to perform with his band doing Hawaiian music, and he also did a regular, I'm not sure how long it lasted, but I think it was a couple of decades, actually, from what I gather, a regular radio show featuring him and his band, primarily doing a lot of Hawaiian inspired music. He also started a record label called Lani. It's a Hawaiian name meaning heavenly, but he started his own record label, recorded his own albums, and he recorded a few other people as well, but mostly his albums. And he has, I don't know the exact count. I don't even know if the listing on Discogs is complete. I don't know, but something, I think, in the neighborhood of 33 albums, something like that. 33, 34 albums of his music. I have 24 of them. And I just picked up the dozen that I did because they were at a very cheap price, and they were all from one seller in Lithuania, and so I just bought the lot because they were pretty cheap.
Journey with me and discover Kaiwaza's newest Live 365 radio adventure. It's called Gauguin Gardens, named after the French artist Paul Gauguin, who journeyed to Tahiti and to hopefully create his studio of the tropics, an artistic community full of the beauty and the freedom of old Tahiti. You'll hear the sounds of the ocean, the sounds of the jungle, the music of the native communities, the drumming of their festivities. Ambiance music of lounge, down-tempo, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the fruits falling off the trees. You might even hear An old cha-cha record someone is playing on their gramophone. The soundscape of Gauguin Gardens on live365.com. It's somewhere east of Skull Island, a little west of the White Lotus, not too far from Cafe Del Mar, a little bit south of Tommy Bahama. That's where you'll find Gauguin Gardens, and I'll be waiting. Won't you join me there? Just click on the link below, Gauguin Gardens on live365.com.
My story, let me tell you, my little personal story as well about Yngve Stoor. So Yngve Stoor, he's doing all these radio shows. He's performing Hawaiian music. People are loving it. I'm assuming at the time they're loving it because he did so many albums, and even if they were vanity albums, I mean, you wouldn't probably have done that many if they weren't selling well. People were digging it, you know, like they dig Lawrence Welk, right? We all remember that era. We don't all remember that era. I remember that era of my parents and grandparents thinking Lawrence Welk was good. So I'm sure, you know, they were, I mean, I like Lawrence Welk. I'm sure people were digging Yngve Stoor in Sweden and dancing to his records and his band and all of that. Now, he came to Hawaii at least once or twice, maybe more than that. He came to the South Pacific, different islands in the South Pacific several times as a tourist vacationing. He wrote, something I do like about Yngve Stoor, he wrote a lot of songs. He wrote he was a composer and a lyricist, and he wrote many songs. I can't vouch for him as a lyricist because I don't know Swedish and they're all in Swedish, but I could say, you know, musically, I love his songs. Like the songs that he wrote are very pretty, and I love his steel guitar playing. And I wish he had just stuck with steel guitar playing and not sang, because I just unfortunately don't think he was that great of a singer. Plus, you know, I think he could have had more international appeal had he just been instrumental, you know, and recorded steel guitar. And I think we can see that with some other groups, maybe from Hawaiian groups from Europe, like the Kalima Hawaiians, who recorded many Hawaiian albums, I think had their greatest success internationally when their albums were instrumental. Because you could tell they were European or something, even if they were singing in English, you know, you could tell. And the instrumental albums with the steel guitar just sounded great, so I think they had more success with that. And we see a group like the Waikikis that came out of Belgium in the 60s that had tremendous international success. They had a hit song called Hawaii Tattoo, which was very big in Europe, also made the top 40 in the United States. They recorded many albums, all instrumental, and I think that was very smart to just keep it instrumental. I really wish Yngve Stoor had done that. I really wish he just like went totally instrumental, did his vocal albums for the Sweden marketplace, and then tried to sell the rest elsewhere. I think it would have been, you know, successful, because I do love his, not that he wasn't successful in Sweden, you know, but I love his steel playing, and I love the songs that he composed. They're really cool. They're really nice. They're very SpongeBob SquarePants, you know, and there's a whole market for that. And I wish that's what he had done, but unfortunately he did not. So my apologies to the nation of Sweden, seriously, but you know, he's singing in Swedish in half of these songs, which is a very strange combination to hear with Hawaiian style music. Anyway, he recorded many record albums, and I have about 24. The first one, I will just tell you briefly, the first one I ever had was this one, Paradise. I got this like in the early 80s. I had no idea who he was. It was just at a used record shop that I used to go to quite often. And I was very broke in those days, broke college student. I could not spend more than a couple of bucks on anything, and this was just a couple of bucks. And I was fascinated because I thought, it's Swedish, Hawaiian record. and that was here. I was here in Hawaii. Like, how fascinating. And I just knew absolutely nothing about him. Of course, this is pre-internet, whatever. You didn't, you saw what's Yngve Stoor. I have no idea whatsoever, not knowing at all what it was about, except it probably had some singing on it, because what's she doing on the cover? And it says, Yngve Stoor assuming with Reisberg, Annika Reisberg and the orchestra. And in fact, that is what it is. And I was very lucky or unlucky, I don't know, that this happened to be my first exposure. This particular record from 1980 happened to be my first exposure to him, because it is one of the albums that he sings the least on. So who knew? I didn't know. So I'm like digging most of these songs. There's several instrumentals on here, and one song, and Annika Reisberg is actually a very good singer. She's a really nice singer. Her voice, I would say, is kind of like Julie Andrews' voice. It's kind of a clear, very clear, like a good voice. So the songs that she sings on, it's beautiful. It's his steel guitar. She's singing Swedish, but it's beautiful, and her voice is lovely, so it kind of works. And as it turns out, after all these years, my very favorite Yngve Stoor song is on this record, and it's not just for sentimental reasons. I know a lot of times I get sentimental and I like something just for nostalgia or whatever, but in this case, no. This does happen to be my favorite, best Yngve Stoor song, which is called Sound of Waikiki. It is instrumental, and it has a wordless female chorus. I love a wordless female chorus. But I don't know this for a fact, but I'd be willing to bet a bunch of money on it that Sound of Waikiki, I bet he wrote kind of as a tribute to the Waikikis, the Hawaiian group from Belgium that was very popular, because it's kind of their sound. I mean, a steel guitar playing with the Waikikis were sort of notorious for using a lot of male and female wordless choruses, quite a lot. And I feel so, even the first time I ever heard it, the song, and I still feel it now when I listen to it, like, yeah, you're kind of doing a little tribute thing here to the sound of the Waikikis is what you really probably meant to call it. And it's called Sound of Waikiki, but it's like, it is kind of the sound of the Waikikis. I'll play you a little clip of that right here, because it's my favorite of all of his songs. Right? I mean, it's very SpongeBob SquarePants. I love that kind of music and all that. So anyway, before we just flip through the records and I play some needle drops for you, and you can hear for yourself the lovely songs that he writes that I think are lovely as steel guitar instrumentals, and then how they're kind of ruined when he starts singing. To me. I mean, I'm sorry, Sweden, I'm sorry, but like, you just go, wow. No. And I just had a thought that I've never had before. Just before I started this video, I'm like, John Charles, here we are in 2025, you could just upload these songs that you like, that you don't like him singing on, but you like the song, because usually he'll play on steel guitar the song once through and then start singing, and you go, why did you do that? I could now, because I have the software and stuff, like I could splice them, edit them, and just take 2 or 3 songs instrumentally together into a medley, or just like repeat, do the instrumental through, splice the thing, do the instrumental through again to make like a decent length song. I could do that now and play it on Hawaiian Hi-Fi radio. I could do that. Maybe I should think about that. I'm going to think about that. Inside many of his records, before we do the actual flipping, he had, in almost all of them, a pamphlet. He would put a pamphlet in it. It's a lovely picture of him playing the steel guitar. If you've never seen it, well, he's not playing it, but that's a steel guitar. when you play it, you lay them flat, but that's what they look like. Anyway, and it would have the list of all his many, many, many recordings of Hawaiian music, and probably about 35%, maybe 40% even, maybe even 50% of all the songs on most of these albums are original compositions by him that he was inspired to write on his trips to the islands. So yeah, like I don't have enough to do already, but yeah, maybe I should do some editing, splicing together and make some medleys and just make some, splice together the instrumental parts. That's a thought. Anyway, so we're just gonna stop here and we are going to flip through and play. I'll flip through all the records to show you everything I have from him and just be playing some needle drops as we do it so you can hear the loveliness of his steel guitar playing and him singing, and he has other people singing on his albums too, and they're good. They are good singers as opposed to him. I don't think he's a great singer, but they are good singers. But they're still singing in Swedish, which is just odd. It's odd.
En som mig mycket kär. Aina små med blänkar längs Mauis fagra strand, och stillheten sig sänka. En pärla i Öars rike, vindarna kring Tahiti behärskas av guden Tiki. Mer, hon kommer villigt till lek och dans. Jäckehula hickedola, jäckehula hickedola. Från Nordanlandet under stjärneglansen, igenom rymden hälsningar nå fram.
Okay, that's my look at Yngve Stoor. I'm told I don't, I very rarely come across an Yngve Stoor record, and the few times that I have, I've kind of bought them, But at one point I realized that I just didn't enjoy them that much because of the whole singing thing. And I just kept thinking, one day I'm gonna, one of these records is gonna be all instrumental and it's gonna be, a Holy Grail thing. It'll be great. But that hasn't happened. And in fact, on one of the records, they're writing that fans have requested over and over again that Yngve do an all instrumental album. But, we couldn't do that quite. And even on this one, we've included some vocals or whatever. And I'm like, duh, like your people are telling you what they want. Stop singing. But they didn't pay any attention to it. And although they put it on a liner note, they didn't do it. Anyway, so I am told, I do not know this because I'm not there to see, but that, like I said, I stopped getting Yngve Stoor records unless they were super, super cheap, and I found them at a thrift store or something, which you hardly ever do. And then this guy had a whole bunch of them for just a couple bucks a piece, so I did buy a bunch, but I won't buy any more unless I find them super, super cheap again. And I am told, maybe if you're there, you can affirm this, that in Europe, his albums are quite easy to find in thrift stores or, record fairs or whatever, that they are abundant there and not very expensive. So, but that's not the case here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and we will catch you all on the next video. Please leave your comments below. Do you think I should do some edited versions of these songs and put them on Hawaiian Hi-Fi? I do have some Yngve Stoor on Hawaiian Hi-Fi radio, but not very much, very few songs, because very few are instrumental, and I do have a few vocals, but not very many, and I would rather not. As I'm thinking about it, if I could do edited versions and splice things together and I would rather, and keep it instrumental, I'd rather do that. Anyway, yeah, sorry, but thank you guys, and we'll watch you in the next video. Comment below if you're interested in this topic or whatever. What are your thoughts?